Napoleon, the most famous conqueror in all of Europe, at least like in the last 200 years, I guess. Napoleon, he was cooking pretty hard for quite some time and was able to push all the way to Moscow, but he lost in the end, and he ended up being banished twice on 2 different islands. And that is what we're going to be looking today. We're going to be looking at the 2 islands which Napoleon was sent to in this video, and just look around. They kind of look like, was it for Napoleon to be on these islands, and maybe learn a little bit about these places. So we're going to start out with the first island, which was significantly bigger than the second one, and it's here in the coast of Italy, island of Elba. And I even think that Napoleon had like his own like guard which was guarding him on the island, and he even got some political power when living on this location. It's right here in the west of Italy, and it's actually really big. The fact that they gave him all of this, despite the fact that they basically wanted to get rid of him, they kind of just sent him here and gave him quite a lot of land to govern. So I think we're gonna start off by trying to find some location where Napoleon actually was. So we're just gonna search here in Google Earth. No way, I literally just searched Napoleon instantly and we found the Napoleonic Mills house. Is this? Oh, look at all these Napoleon stuff. We got like a sculpture of Napoleon. Here's I think this is like the symbol of Napoleonic France, right? The eagle. Is this? I don't know what this is. Some statues and everything. Here's another painting of Napoleon and a bunch of like old furniture stuff. Let's go into maybe street view. I think, oh yeah, we can walk around inside of this building even. What is going on here? All right. Okay, why would you have to go to a museum where you can just like cheat your way in? Okay. I think this house must have been a location where Napoleon stayed at one place, because we have all of these paintings on Napoleon. Look at this table. What if Napoleon once sat on this table? Can we read this? This sign maybe says something about this. Bro, it's too small. It doesn't matter, but we have this is probably the most famous photo or picture painted of Napoleon. Let's continue on our journey. And more Napoleonic photos. So we have Napoleon, more Napoleon stuff, Napoleon again. And also Napoleon riding into battle. Is this also Napoleon? I mean, yeah, this is pretty cool so far. Okay, we're going up the stairs. Where are we? We're on the second floor. Okay, more Napoleon stuff. I want to see more Napoleon stuff. Where are the Napoleon stuff? Oh, come on, Napoleon. Where are you hiding? Here he is hiding. We got literally a sculpture of him right here. And the beautiful window. Imagine Napoleon stood here once, looking out of the window here. Maybe this was his bed. Is that his bed? No way, it's not Napoleon's bed. I can't read the text or something. Dude, this is like being inside of a museum, but I don't know the context or anything, so I just have to guess what everything here supposedly means. Or maybe this is Napoleon's bed. I don't know. This museum doesn't tell me anything. Please tell me the lore about this bed. Finally, another picture of Le Napoleon Bonaparte. Anyway, let's go out of this place and try to look around there if we can see some more Napoleon stuff on this island. I mean, there's a bunch of other stuff here which I don't think has anything to do with Napoleon, like a bunch of cool historical places. Like, I mean, this is Italy, so of course there's a bunch of cool, like, Roman stuff and everything. But it's crazy. Imagine the fact that Napoleon at one point was at this island. He was sent here. There's a bunch of, like, forts and stuff. Let's go into some cool location, maybe where we can see the city. Yeah. Oh, this was literally perfect. This is exactly what I was looking for. Look at this drone shot of the island. The same island was Napoleon, which was sent to at one point. I think this was, I think the museum we were going through is one of these buildings. Either this one or this one. Imagine that Napoleon lived in like this area at one point. That's crazy. I mean, it's really beautiful here, which to be fair might be expected considering this is Italy. The island looks a lot bigger in that direction. This is like small peninsula sticking out here. Really cool fort standing here on top of this hill as well. Yeah, I found another Villa San Martino Residenza Napoleonica. So it must have something to do with Napoleon. Yeah, we got this. I think this is the symbol of France once again. And yeah, these eagles, these are French. Okay, you have more paintings, but I want to see more Napoleon stuff. Like, I want to see more. This doesn't say anything about this location. This looks French, but I'm not certain that is what it means. I think this looks like these like French guards which Napoleon had. This is like the image of the HRE, so maybe this is depicting the enemies which he was fighting. Let's go inside of this building and see what actually goes on here. See if we can see some more Napoleon stuff. Okay, we're inside of the building. That's the French logo. Wasn't Napoleon actually Italian, to be fair? Yeah, isn't Napoleon was from Corsica, and Corsica was Italian, and then France annexed Corsica, and Corsica became French, so he had like an Italian accent or something like that. Okay, this guy is staring into my soul. Dude, I don't really want to look at you, I want to look at the Napoleon stuff. I don't see any of the Napoleon stuff, dude. I want to see the Napoleon stuff. Where is the Napoleon stuff? We can find. Okay, we have once again found a very similar like area to what we saw last time. Here we have a picture of Napoleon. I mean, there is definitely some type of Napoleon. Napoleon has definitely been on this place at one point. Another picture of Napoleon. Okay, let's look a little bit of the pictures here from Elba. Here's a picture of the rise of Napoleon. It's like, here's him as a kid, here's him as a soldier, here's him like as a riser, here's him a little bit more dripped out as maybe like a general or anything, and here he becomes an emperor. Here he fights and everything, and then he eventually gets kicked off the throne and sent to the island of Elba. That's like what this thing depicts. That's pretty cool. We have another picture also. Here's him sitting here looking out of the ocean when he's been exiled here to Elba also. Here's another picture. I think this shows when Napoleon arrives to Elba as well. And this is the sign of Elba, I think. And another picture of what it looks like in the area. After his forced abdication following the Treaty of Fontainebleau, he was allowed to keep a personal guard of 400 men and was nominally sovereign of Elba, a step down from Emperor of French. However, the nearby sea was patrolled by the French and the British navies to ensure he couldn't escape. And during the time he stayed on the island, he essentially did a bunch of good economic reforms and like basically got the island hella rich. So that's good, Napoleon. But by 1815 he went back to France. He escaped with 1,000 men to try to get back onto the throne in France. And then afterwards this island eventually became part of the Kingdom of Italy. But basically that's everything we have to say about it. I mean, this is a very cool island, and this was the first island which Napoleon was sent to, and it's pretty big, you know. But then he went from this island back to France with I think like 1,000 soldiers, and then he actually managed to rise up his old army and return into power in France. And then he went on to the final battle against all of his enemies at once, where he ended up losing at Waterloo. But anyway, what happened with him then? Well, he was once again sent to a new island. But this island was even more in the middle of nowhere, in the middle here, in between Africa and Brazil. We're gonna zoom in and we're gonna find the British island of Saint Hellena, which is named after a saint, obviously. You can hear it by the name. And this is it. And this is it. I like the shape of it. It looks really cool. It's like a big rock almost. Like it's very mountainous. I wonder if there's any like volcanoes or anything. Whoa, I literally just zoomed in. I instantly see this. Napoleon's grave. What? And they have this picture. This is so sad. Look at my boy Napoleon. His general's like, Napoleon, what are we going to do? And he says, no, there is nothing we can do. And also here, look at Napoleon. He's so dripped out. It's crazy. Yeah, this is the grave. It's very underwhelming. It's a French flag. I thought they would look a lot cooler. Is this really it? Is this the grave of Napoleon? It was very disappointing. I felt like why didn't just make it cooler? I suppose this is because it's built in the British territory. It means that Britain would have to pay for it, so I guess that makes sense why they didn't drip it out more. Okay, this guy in here is where, yeah, here it says Napoleon's tomb, but we can't see it. Like, there's no street view right next to it. Bro, there's no street view. Are you kidding me? Look at this guy. He has been taking street views everywhere right next to it, but he hasn't just, why hasn't he went in and actually taken a street view right next to the tomb? Yo. Whoa, this road is so steep. Like, seriously? Halley's Mount. What is this? This is also some famous dude. But we don't care. You're not Napoleon. Stop. Plantation house. Oh, look. We have a Naus tortoise. Here we have some British flags and stuff. But, like, I don't really care. I don't care about this. I want to... Wait. Is that Napoleon III? That guy isn't the same Napoleon. That's another French king, which came later on, called Napoleon III, I think. There's a cemetery of Boer. They are like people from South Africa of Dutch descent. Why is there a Boer cemetery here? That's weird. Heart-shaped waterfall. What? That sounds cool. I don't... Oh yeah, I kind of see the heart. This is what we gotta find. This is... I know this house. This is Napoleon's house. This is the house which Napoleon stayed in. We need to find that. I know it's here somewhere on the island, but I don't know where it is. Here's a drinking well. Is this maybe the well where Napoleon drank out of at one point? Like, bro, it must have like been mental torture to be sent here. When you send someone so ambitious like Napoleon to a location like this, he wears some cannons, probably some British guard cannon, some Brits trying to guard this island from someone trying to come here and rescue Napoleon. Longwood House. I think we found it. Guys, I found it. This is the house where Napoleon lived at when he was sent to this island. And this is his inside of the building where he lived. He lived inside of this house. Is this the bed which Napoleon slept in probably? Or maybe this is the bed he slept in. Either way, this is really cool. This is Napoleon's house with a French flag here. Drawing of Napoleon when he died. And there's another dripped out image of him. Come on, there has to be street view in the Longwood House, as it's called. Come on. Yes, I think there is. Not inside of the house, unfortunately, but there is right next to it. So this says Napoleon's garden here. So I guess this is Napoleon's garden. This is Napoleon's house. From the back, I guess. Yeah, here it is. We can see it. This is Napoleon's house. There are some people chilling outside of it. Dang. That's insane, dude. We managed to find that. Is there anything else we can find here? Napoleon's gardens. Okay. Yeah, okay, this is another view of the house. It's not that big, but I guess it's better than nothing. I mean, it could have been like sentenced to death or something. So I guess being sent to this island is a lot more merciful than the other options Napoleon could have possibly been faced with. I think most people living on this island live up here in this like valley area here in the north. There's this place called Jamestown. Whoa, it's kind of cool because it's like right in between like two mountains. Yeah, look at this. This is actually a really cool looking town. It's like, look, it's just right in between these mountains. And I think this is controlled by, and this is still controlled by Britain. So it's like insane that this does not give me Britain vibes at all. This looks more like Latin America type vibes. Museum of Saint Hellena. And we got, I think this is the image of Saint Hellena. Here's some tourists maybe. Okay, cool. Got some people and everything. An old wagon, bunch of old cannons and stuff. Other hill guns. Okay, this is some type of like artillery thing, maybe from World War II or something. I know this does not look like it's from the 1800s. It looks way more advanced. Anything. Here's the airport. Whoa, look how close this airport is to the cliff. This must be kind of scary to like land on this thing here. Is there any view we can get of the airport? Okay, yeah, this is the airport. Man, it's really flat up here, surprisingly. And out there is just like a straight out fall over this cliff. Oh, look at this fort they got on this island. That's really awesome. I wonder when this fort was built. Probably maybe in the 1800s, 1700s or something like that. Okay, so let's read a little bit about Saint Helena. Here we got their flag, here we got their image. Pretty cool stuff actually. And it seems like it was first discovered in 1502 by a Portuguese armada commanded by João da Nova, a Galician navigator. Okay, so it was first discovered by a Portuguese guy, and it was named after Saint Helena of Constantinople. Okay, around 4,400 people live on the island, which is actually less than I thought. I thought it would be at least like 10,000, but alright, still quite some people on this island. It's not that big, to be fair, so I guess it makes sense. In 1815, the British government selected Saint Helena as a place of exile for Napoleon Bonaparte. Following his defeat at Waterloo and abdication, he was taken to the island in October of 1815. Napoleon stayed at the Brer's Pavilion. Then he later was relocated to a place called the Longwood House, which we just looked at. Then he died a couple years later in 1821. And here's a picture of Napoleon standing in the Saint Helena looking out on the ocean. Just as I said, he stood there on some cliff reflecting on his life. And here's the picture of the house we were just looking at. Following Napoleon's death, the soldiers and other temporary residents linked to his presence on the islands were withdrawn from the island. Okay, now I understand why we found that like Boer stuff earlier on, because apparently a lot of like Boers were sent here as prisoners during like the Boer Wars between the British and the Afrikaners in South Africa. And here we have statistics about the population. Seems like the population actually is going down. It was peaking in 1998 with a population of 5,157. Now it has gone down quite a lot actually, which is unfortunate, I guess. And here's Jamestown from outside. Looks really cool. But basically, guys, that is today's video about the 2 islands that Napoleon was sent to. If you want to see more geography videos, make sure to subscribe and I'll see you in the next one.